In this video, we are going to take a look at migrating extended data type relations in Microsoft Dynamics AX 2012. Also, we will take a look at the EDT migration tool that is available in the Dynamics AX development workspace to automatically migrate relations from EDTs to table relations. Before we go into details of the EDT relation migration tool, let's first take a look at how relations were defined in Dynamics AX 2009. In AX 2009, relations could be defined both on the relations node on the EDT as well as the relations node on tables. The relations on the EDT have certain limitations to them. For example, composite keys, that is relations based on multiple fields, could not be expressed using the EDT relations. Also, it was difficult to express multiple relations between two tables using EDT relations. In addition to all of these, the relation metadata was not present on the EDT relations. On the relations node on tables, rich relation metadata can be expressed, such as cardinality, relationship type, etc. When both table and EDT relations were defined between the same two tables, the order in which the relation was picked was confusing, and it was relevant for many operations such as cascading deletes and query relations. So what have we changed in Dynamics AX 2012? First, in AX 2012, relations can only be defined on tables. So when you see an EDT, you will not be able to create new relations on EDTs. We recommend that all existing EDT relations should be migrated to table relations. This way, we have one uniform way of defining relationships between tables. The EDT migration tool that is available in the development workspace is a great tool for automatically migrating EDT relations to table relations. Finally, after a relation has been migrated from the EDT, the system will only honor the table relation and ignore the relation on the EDT from that point onwards. So next, we are going to take a look at the EDT migration tool and how it can help us automatically migrate relations from the EDT relations node to table relations. For doing that, let's go through this simple example of how a relation could have been defined in AX 2009. So the first entity in play is student, and it has some simple fields like name and address. In addition to that, it has a club ID field which refers to the sports club. The sports club entity has a club name and an identifier for its ID called club ID. Now the way we would relate these two tables in AX 2009 is by defining this club ID EDT, and in the relations node of the club ID, we would say that club ID is the sports club's club ID. By specifying this relation, we were in fact creating this conceptual relationship between the student and the sports club. Let's see how this type of a relationship can be automatically migrated using the EDT migration tool. Here I have the Dynamics AX development workspace, and I have created this simple project called EDT migration test with the simple entities that we discussed in the previous example. The student entity has a couple of fields like name and address, and this club ID field, which is of the extended data type club ID. We'll see this EDT in a moment. Also notice that the relations node is empty and there is no explicit relation to the sports club table. The sports club table has a couple of fields, the club ID and the name, and the club ID is the club ID EDT. Finally, the club ID extended data type, in addition to some of the normally set fields such as string size, etc., will also have this relation on the club ID field. The table is the sports club table associated with this relation. Next, we are going to run the EDT migration tool to see if we can automatically migrate this EDT relation on the student table. The tool can be accessed in Tools, Code Upgrade, and EDT Relation Migration Tool. So when you first click this EDT Relation Migration Tool, you will most likely see this message that says the data on existing EDT relations has not been refreshed. Do you want to refresh it now? After clicking yes, it is going to scan the AOT and refresh data on EDT relations, and that process might take a few minutes. Once the tool finishes scanning the AOT for EDT relations, this dialog is displayed that the data refresh is now complete, and after clicking OK, it will bring up the EDT Relation Migration tool. On the left side, we will see the names of all the tables that are available in the AOT, and we can pick each one of them to see what EDT relations are present on them. Using this tool, you can either migrate a single table or migrate EDTs on multiple tables at the same time. After locating the student table, we will notice that the EDT relations for the student table show up in the EDT relations fast tab. The club ID relation, which is the only EDT relation on our student table, is available for here to migrate. The migration status indicates whether this particular relation has already been migrated or whether it is yet to be migrated. Also, we can choose various migration actions for this particular EDT relation. Skip will not migrate this relation. The way to let the tool migrate this relation is to choose migrate as the migration action on this particular EDT relation. If you have multiple EDT relation, you can also pick the migrate all button, and that will mark all of the EDT relations to migrate. The next step after choosing the migration action is to click the migrate single table button. That will migrate this particular table and the EDT relations on it. To migrate multiple tables, you can multi-select tables in the list view here and choose the migrate multiple table button like this. In this case, we are going to stick with migrating the single table. Also note that various relationship properties are present that will be applied to this particular relation when it is migrated. The EDT migration tool will auto-infer some of these properties, and they can also be edited later using the AOT relation. After clicking the migrate single table button, the tool brings up the info log that says the relation in club EDT has been migrated to a new relation in the student table. So if we close and go and examine the student table, sure enough, there is a sports club relation that has been created newly by the EDT migration tool. Notice that the EDT migration tool has also automatically set the related table cardinality, relationship type, etc. automatically on this particular relation. Also, it has marked the EDT relation property on this relation as yes. If we expand the relation, we will see that it has created this relation based on the club ID field, just as we would expect. Also, when we click that particular field relation, what we will see is that the source EDT property of this particular relation has been set to club ID, which is the EDT from which it has been migrated. This is how we can use the EDT migration tool to automatically migrate relations from the EDT to table relations. There are various scenarios in which the EDT migration tool does things slightly differently. We will not cover all of these scenarios in this video, but I highly recommend that you read through the EDT migration white paper that is available on MSDN. The white paper can be found at the link that is shown on the screen here on MSDN. In addition to all the stuff that we have discussed in this video, it has a lot more information about considerations and best practices to migrate all your EDT relations to table relations using the EDT migration tool, or to manually migrate them if you are not going to use the EDT migration tool. So I highly recommend that you read through this paper, then migrate all your EDT relations.